Good to see everybody.
All right, we're live.
I'd like to call the Brighton Board of Education regular meeting on Monday, October 10th to order. Please stand for pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Ackerman, for the roll call, please.
Mr. Conley?
Here.
Ms. Reed?
Here.
Mr. Trombley?
Here.
Mrs. Mitchell?
Here.
Dr. Krebs? Here. Mr. Stahl?
Here. Approval of the agenda. Next on this, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by the Bill or Ms. Reed, second by Mr. Trombley. Any discussion?
I'd like to change in section 7F and just make that, I'd like to move that just for to board discussion, board report, please.
So we are eliminating section F, reaffirmation of the resolution, for action, placing it, I guess we put it below for future in board reports.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Any more discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it. Next, student representative, Dr. Allen.
All right. So the amazing Amber Chavez is going to come forward to tell us a little bit about all the exciting things going on at the high school. So Amber, take it away.
Hi guys, so again, my name is Amber Chavez. I just want to start off with thanking you guys for coming to our parade on Friday. And I just wanted to go over some of the successes that the Brighton High School has had since we last met. So Pink Week, we had that 2 weeks ago, and we really wanted to extend it to the Brighton area schools. So the leadership class did a couple things to help implement that. We did a Coins for a Cure contest throughout all of the elementary schools, and then pie in the face. What?
Oh, I was waving.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. And then a pie in the face at Scranton and Maltby. And that really did a great job for fundraising. And Spencer Elementary School actually raised $5,100 just by doing the coin contest. So we're really looking forward to continuing that in the next few years. And for our Pink Out game, it was super successful. There was lots of involvement throughout the entire district. So that's what we were really hoping for. And then the Powder Puff game was also a huge success with Dash for Cash. That was an event that we just have leadership students running around with buckets, and you have 30 seconds to fill out as much as you can. So that was very successful. This year, our leadership class really focused on the events and the fundraisers that would make the most money. So we kind of took out all of the extra ones that nobody really liked doing. So that's how we are doing things this year. And so far we have $45,000 that we know of that we're giving to, Trinity Health Medical Center here in Brighton. But we're still counting. So those numbers aren't really solid yet, but that's what we have so far for sure. So we have lots of sponsors still coming in, still giving us donating money. So that will be, we won't have solid numbers probably till the next board meeting. So I'll inform you guys on that once I have those numbers. And then homecoming was super successful. This year, the theme was Dancing in the Moonlight. So if you saw on Saturday night, the moon was super full. So it was super on theme, which made me really happy because I, picked the theme, and the setup was amazing. If you guys have kids, you could see they might have taken a picture. If not, I can email you a picture of the setup, but it was really amazing. I've heard lots of great reviews. That was an outstanding homecoming, the best one, that the seniors have had, but they also went through their COVID years. And then the parade was also super successful. There was a couple of mishaps with the car situation, but we got that all solved, before the time where we had to go downtown. Lots of kids, lots of good feedback from the kids. They really had a good time. And like my family members, everybody said that it was really well put together. And then again, I just want to thank you guys for coming and joining us in that parade and being a part of that. Our homecoming king and queen was Joey Klinowski and Maddie Dombrowski. They've been dating for a while, so they definitely deserved it this year. And for our football game, we won 35-7, which is also a huge success. We are still undefeated at the Brighton High School for our varsity team. And for the actual dance, everybody loved it, great feedback. And we also have been continuing a tradition from last year where we have an outdoor area for students who, want to be in the outside, so that it really matched with the Dancing in the Moonlight theme. And so what now? Our leadership class has been working our butts off for the past 2 weeks. So now we're kind of chilling down, and we're thinking of new things that we can do to reach out to the middle schools and the elementary schools, but that won't be taking action for a while, so we can plan it really well. Yellow Ribbon Week is also in 2 weeks, which will be great for focusing on the mental health of students, and we're going to try to extend that to the middle schools, maybe not the elementary schools, but just the middle schools. Because that's definitely focusing on students' mental health and mental health awareness. Yeah, so any questions?
Amber, one thing I think you forgot was that great pep assembly,
Oh,
right?
I thought that was in my notes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fantastic. And again, just
Thank
thank you
you.
for your time and what you're doing. And
Of
again,
course.
please, I know I believe that again, the check was around 38,000 you gave last year to Trinity. So you're well over that limit, right?
Yes.
Almost $10,000 more.
Yeah.
But please, I want you guys to get your recognition. Please make sure it says Brighton area schools or leadership class or something other than just Dr. Outlaw's signature. Okay.
Of course. Yeah.
Please.
Our leadership class really has been really passionate about it this year, and I felt so connected to these kids, and it's just been
Good.
like 4 weeks of knowing them, so, and they're really good kids. And I just know from personal experience, we're not doing these fundraisers just for the clout or the
Yes.
name, we do it because we're really trying to support our school. So,
Well, and please, if you take that check in person, and please, I hope a lot of you guys go and take that check so you understand the good of what that's going to.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in the past 2 years since COVID, we haven't been able to actually go there as a leadership
Yes.
class, but this year.
Please don't give them the money unless they let you in to see.
Yeah,
Honest to
this
God.
year-
I
this
mean,
year they're very
and that
focusing on
sits
that.
right as you walk in.
Yeah.
There's that check, right?
Yeah.
And you guys deserve all the credit for it. And you'll see the good that money does
Right.
there.
Yes. We're definitely going to be going this year.
Thank you.
Last year was only 2 or 3 kids that could go, but this year we're definitely having the entire
Yes.
class
Thank
go.
you. That's fantastic.
Of course. Yes. Anything else, guys? No? Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. Great job. I will just share that as Amber goes to leave, I don't know if I can express enough how amazing this group of student leaders have been. Not just, over the last couple of weeks, but I've had a chance to work with them for the last couple of years. It's an amazing group of real difference makers in the schools. And what you'll see in a lot of schools is Students will be passively involved in decision making, and they'll implement decisions made by adults. This leadership class is very different, where they have student leadership. Amber is at the head of that group, and they make the decisions, they carry it out, they follow through, they communicate. I saw Amber I don't know where she got the energy. I mean, you can hear her voice is just, you're starting to hear it a little bit, but boundless energy, fantastic leadership. They did it for the right reasons, great messaging. I think they represented the school really well. They were including students from across the building in these activities. So just congratulations again to you, and thank you all for everything you did. So great job. Thank you, Amber. The only other thing I wanted to mention before I turn it over to Mr. Scaling is that next week we will have our Distinguished Alumni event. It's here, and we will be honoring our first class, our first three honorees for the Brighton Distinguished Alumni Wall of Fame. Very excited about that. Yes. Yeah, we'll be at the STEAM Center. So we'll be in the STEAM Center, and thank you to Star and Karen Story and for all their work in getting this organized. But we're going to honor three people. I'm going to go in order of their graduation year. We have Dave Llewellyn from WXYZ. He's an anchor, former sports anchor there. 1975 grad from Brighton High School. Kate Lawrence, former mayor, county commissioner. She was a class of 1976. And then Drew Henson. Probably maybe the best athlete to ever come out of maybe the state, high school athlete. And he is going to be here as well. And he is, I believe, class of 1998. So very excited about it. It will be at the STEAM Center next Thursday. So just want to put that out there. So is there anything else that you had questions or anything for me before I turn it over to Mrs. Scaling? All right.
I think you moved us through superintendent update.
Yep. And I think there's a public hearing on board policy 5207.
Yes, per UCL 380.1310, we are required to hold a public hearing anytime there's a modification or change to a bullying policy that the Board of Education adopts. As a result of the adoption of our truant policy package, the truant package does contain a different version of our bullying policy. The anti-bullying policy from truant contains all of the legal requirements necessary for adoption and is consistent with our current practices and procedures. So at this time, we can open up the public hearing, provide an opportunity for public comment regarding our bullying policy. If there are any.
If anyone wishes to speak to the board regarding bullying policies.
I will.
It's Mr. Ringer, right?
Yes, you call me Jason. I got a lot to say on other subjects, but I'm going to touch on that too.
So this follows that same procedure as called the public. Am I correct on that? Yep.
All right, thanks, sir. Because rebellion, the Bible says, 2 Corinthians 3, their minds were blinded. 2 Corinthians 4 says the God of this world has blinded the minds of the believers. There's a veil, there's a blindness over the minds.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. That, we're still going to call it public, if that's where you want to talk. This was just particularly about our bullying policy.
Oh, yeah, I'll talk. I know.
Yeah.
This is the thing. So like all these schools over the years, Brighton, Heartland, and all this other stuff, my frustration is there's no good hard line on the schools taking a good stance of stopping the bullying, regardless of whatever sexual orientation you are, race, color, creed, or whatever. The frustration is like you don't have the same standard. And if a kid's bullying somebody, you should have a zero tolerance. When you come to school, nobody should have to come in here and be bullied on any level, because this should be a safe space for any kid for any reason. And the frustration is so many friends that I had in so many different schools in Livingston County that you call the schools, no offense to Dr. Outlaw, because this has nothing to do with you, but prior superintendents would sit here and they'll suspend the kid, they put the kid back in, and so people have to pull their kids out, homeschooling them and everything else. But there needs to be something done with people being bullied. You know, there should be a zero tolerance. You know, if you get caught fighting, suspend the kids 5 to 7 days, whatever you need to do. But if this kid has a pattern, expel him from the district. It's plain and simple. Why should the one kid, little Jimmy, be coming in here and get picked on a daily basis when you got somebody that's just a bully? deal with the parents, deal with them, and kick them out of the district. So I don't mean to ramble on about that, but, you know, that needs to be dealt with. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else that wishes to speak to us about bullying policy? Seeing none?
Oh, Mrs. Colors.
Oh, Ms. Collins, I'm sorry.
I apologize for not being well-versed in the policy. I just want to throw it out there that, is there any way that you can make sure that the administration backs up the teachers? Because a lot of times as teachers, we say, or we see this happening in the classroom over and over and over again, and the kid goes to the office and then they're right back in the classroom 5 minutes later. Something's got to give. So it's very important to have the administration back up the teachers. Thank you.
Anyone else that wishes to speak to the board regarding our policy 5207 on bullying?
And I have a question. Is this time for us also to discuss it, or we'll pass this and then we talk about
I
it?
believe that would be appropriate. at
We
this
can
time.
talk about it. So, because this is open forum, we can answer. It's not true call to public. So here we have a person that works in education and discuss with us how we handle, or how administration handles these complaints from the teachers. And so specifically right now, what are we gonna do? Like if there's a complaint comes in from a teacher about something goes on in the classroom, what do we do from there? What happens?
So the complaint from a teacher or a student or even a parent, that the administrators investigate that, a thorough investigation, document that investigation, and then make a determination on if it was bullying or some other, and then apply appropriate disciplinary consequences as a result of that investigation.
Well, I have a personal experience. Our second grader, Hilton, my daughter Annie, had repeated occurrences of a person that would give her a hard
Because we
time.
really can't hear one thing you're saying, I'm sorry.
You're fine. Thanks for saying something. I appreciate it. You're fine. So we had repeated occurrences where we felt we couldn't get it fixed, and Annie started in the private schools after that. And it was really hard for us to take her out of the school because we liked going to the school at the time. But it had, I heard the repeated, what do we do to support the teacher in this? It just kept getting shoved back in there. And my wife and I made a decision at that time to take her out. And so I think that strikes a chord with me. If it's still happening the same way, we do have to support our educators somehow. And whether it's an alternative classroom where the student gets the same opportunity to learn, but doesn't disrupt our teachers when they're trying to run their classrooms. And I've heard different stories over the years where some of them were pretty hard. But I also support the idea that everybody deserves an education. So I cover the full spectrum. I wouldn't say to eliminate any person from education, even if they need extra help to get what we can teach them. That's not the point. So, but I think we should have that maybe someday could be even a board position to hear some of these concerns and complaints to help this, and where we could, as a board, support action that would make it better in the classroom so other kids aren't disadvantaged because of it. So thank you.
Could you explain one more time the process, please?
For
If-
you're talking about when
If an administrator is notified that there's bullying or something,
so yeah.
or just by anybody, it could be by anyone, even if a kid told an administrator.
As soon as it's reported, then the administrator has to be notified, and then they conduct the investigation.
So tell me what that investigation entails,
So that
please.
would be meeting with the student or the parent who made the complaint, meeting with the other party to that or parties, gathering all the information, speaking to other witnesses that may have witnessed that particular incident, documenting all of that, and then based on the evidence there.
So, okay, your documentation, is there a form that is filled out that is required with specific questions and things like that? So everybody's filling out the same documentation, so it's not all over the map? The same questions are being asked from one to another? How does that work, please?
Yeah, I don't, each of the buildings have their procedures and forms that they use. I don't know
So
that
it's
we have
not
consistent-
standardized across the district.
Probably not. I can double check on that.
Don't you think that'd be a good thing to have?
Yeah, we can. Certainly can. It just
Again,
depends.
you're the HR person. I'm asking you this question.
Right. It isn't required to have that same process, especially when you're talking about the questions, because the questions could be very dependent
I
on
understand
what was
from one
reported.
level of grades to another level of grades, but wouldn't this process with a documented, this is how it goes from one here, 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 and here, and ultimately here, and you're saying this is all documented,
Correct. Now,
but
we
so
don't have
far,
this-
there's no process to follow that documentation, is there?
There's not the same documentation process district-wide used for bullying investigations that
Okay.
I'm aware of, no.
Okay. Do you think that would be helpful?
I don't think it could hurt.
Is that something that could be implemented?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And who would do that?
I will probably be able to pull together that report or that guide that would provide them for those investigations for bullying, and then we can get it out to principals so that make sure they use it.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Just the only limitation on that is that case by case,
Sure.
it varies. So it has to be a framework as opposed to a
Right.
hard list
Yes.
of questions.
would
Just
agree.
throwing that out there.
Yes.
So.
But again, I don't think one school should be asking one question and somebody else that completely different that are irrelevant that follows the path.
I think one of the advantages of the new policy that is coming with the Troon package is that it requires an annual report to the board of the incidents that are occurring in the district. And I think that will allow us to have better oversight over whether things are happening consistently within the buildings and whether we have problems that are going unaddressed. So I'm looking forward to that annual report for sure.
Thank you for that.
Any further discussion? This moves us to the call to public. If you wish to speak to the board at the call to public, there are the cards located in the back. Please fill one out and give it up to the front. I currently have Mr. Ringette's card.
Mr.
Sir, you want to
Steele,
start?
did you close the hearing?
Oh, I apologize.
It's all right, yeah, I just want to make sure that we
Here.
close.
How do we
Yeah.
formally do that?
He just.
If there's no additional question or comments, we can close the hearing at this time.
All right, we'll close the hearing at this time. Mr. Ringette, you've got 3 minutes. You know the rules.
Thank you, sir. Because of rebellion, the Bible says, 2 Corinthians 3, their minds were blinded. 2 Corinthians 4 says, the God of this world has blinded the minds of the unbelievers. There's a veil, there's a blindness over the minds of the leaders and politicians. The Bible teaches Jesus Christ. He said, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Outside of Christ, there's no ultimate truth. Does anyone remember when the teachers union was fighting for our kids' constitutional rights to be unmasked to protect our kids' health? Fighting to stop healthy quarantines, to keep our kids in school, to get an education. When the health department was implementing mandates, recommendations, guidelines onto Livingston County school kids with no peer-reviewed, replicated scientific studies backing up their reckless actions. Nope, I sure do not remember the union looking out for the health and welfare and safety for our kids in the school year 2020, 21, and 2022. It's time to give the teachers union a boot out of the schools. The teachers unions have 2 jobs, fighting for great pay and benefits for our teachers. The union needs to stay in their lane and stop promoting and pushing the left-wing agendas that have nothing to do with educating our kids. The union bosses usually care more about supporting the left-wing agendas and lobbying for radical left agendas than taking care of our great teachers. Are some of the school board members afraid of moving the teachers union out of the school? Is it because someone wants to be a judge or other political ambitions? Parent-based school board members are what we need in Brighton schools, a parent partnership, not union takeovers of schools. This is why we need new school board members like Andy Kelly and Jennifer, who will put safety and education first instead of playing politics. For the board members that voted to mask our kids in the 21-22 school year, can any of you produce 10 peer-reviewed scientific studies justifying masking Brighton school kids? Nope, none of you can. How about 5? Those school board members who voted to mask and impose healthy quarantines upon Brighton school kids in the 21-22 school year, you should all apologize to the kids and parents that you were wrong and resign tonight. Our kids should never be put through that hell again. Let's talk about SEL and how it's being implemented into our schools, just like the mask and healthy quarantines that were imposed on our children. It's dangerous, divisive, manipulating our kids, causing mental health issues. What peer-reviewed, replicated scientific studies has the school board done to show that SEL is safe for our children? You wonder why kids are having mental health crises within public schools. It's because of the reckless action of pushing illegal healthy quarantines and foreskin mask mandates upon our kids, promoting mental health classes, subconsciously repeating suicide, depression, and inappropriate thoughts upon our kids, giving them ideas to do harm to themselves. Let kids be kids and stop those harmful lunacy ideas that harm our children. Stop ruining their innocence or minds. Everyone should be treated equally. Everyone should be respected equally. Any kid who bullies another kid in any way should be suspended from the district permanently. Thank you very much.
I just wanted to add an experience with administration and bullying. Regarding the paperwork and the forms, teachers are already documenting. They're already, even if it's a journal or whatever, they're documenting the heck out of what's going on in their classrooms. Adding another paper to that, I don't know that that's going to be super helpful. It might be, but we're already doing that. The biggest thing is we need administrator support. And in my experience from another district, I did not have the administrator support. And it got so bad I had to go to the police. That was the only way that I got help. A child threatened to kill me and was very serious, and his mental state was not well. This is what's going on in our schools. This is what our teachers are dealing with. And I can tell you, Horning for sure, those teachers are amazing. And they will do every single thing in their power to help a child. They're just truly amazing teachers. And they just need, across the district, we just need administrator support. So that's the biggest issue I think the teachers are facing. Thank you.
Ms. Keller? Ms. Jennifer Smith?
Hi, I just have a quick comment regarding the city of Brighton and the proposal for pot shops in our city. I'm working with the group to shut that down. And I know that is perceived as a political action, but I'm slightly disappointed that the board hasn't had more action on that, especially the two of you that are up for election. I would really have hoped that you would take a stronger position on this for our children. The petition language, for those of you that are or aren't aware of it, it indicates that the pot shops would be allowed within 800 feet of a school, and it was significantly decreased from the regulated 1,000 feet of a school, which would therefore include this building. So I'm just here as a parent and as a citizen, and I'm asking you to seriously consider reading the language if you haven't. And I'm asking you to support this initiative. If you can't do it under the umbrella of your position on the board, it's a nonpartisan issue. It's to protect our kids, and I think that's what all of you are here for. So I'd like your help. Thank you.
Do you have anyone else that wishes to speak to the board? Oh. Did you fill out one of the cards, sir?
No, but I can do that if you like.
Could you real quick, just so we have that?
Over here?
Right in the back over here, if you don't mind, just put your name on there for us. And then it looks like we have one more being filled out. We're speaking here.
First off, I'd like to thank everybody here for the time and effort you guys put in to serve as trustees. I don't know you, I've never been here before. Lived in Brighton for 8 years. We have an adopted son that just graduated from Brighton 2 years ago, and he started in 7th grade here. And we have little girls, and unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to put them into Brighton schools. There's been we witnessed things through his school years that we weren't really, we didn't know about all of it until he started telling us years later, some of the stuff he went through. And recently, some of this, what I'm about to talk about, we've already had people that have stopped and talked to Dr. Outlaw about this, but I want to bring it up here on the record. Recently, a substitute teacher, a cross-dressing man dressed as a woman, was at Maltby schools twice to substitute teach for 10-year-old children. I don't know if that strikes anybody here as a problem, but it does for me. These are 10-year-olds. They hardly have things figured out. And from what I hear from other parents, their children came home quite upset, not understanding why a man was dressed as a woman and what to think about that. I wonder how that affected their education that day. And I wonder why the school district, the people at Maltby schools let that person in the building that way. It's one thing for someone to do that in their home. That's the privacy of their home. It's another to impose their views on children at a school who maybe some of them have had that discussion with their parents already and understand what that means and have developed an opinion about it. But I'm going to bet that there's quite a few children in those classes that day that didn't have an opinion and didn't know what to think. And I don't understand how they would have had a good education that day, or how we as parents and the leadership of our school district could sit back and do nothing. And I would hope that something is addressed on this. Dr. Outlaw did not give any information on what he said or what was done. He just said it was addressed. And because he didn't give details on how it was addressed, I'm one of the guys that was going to come here tonight to talk about this. I'd like everybody here who's a trustee or sits on this board to go on record and tell your opinion, your position on whether or not you condemn, or if you think it's acceptable for a cross-dresser to teach children at this age. And I'd like to point out that a no response is an answer to the public. So I'd like to hear that. Thank you.
Is there anyone else?
We have one other person with a card. Did you?
For the record, the last speaker was Andrew, is it Ernesto? Did you wish to speak? Next up is it Garen?
Kelly Gardner?
Gardner, I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. Hi, guys. First of all, thank you for the position that each one of you have. It's a hard place to be when you're a place of authority and you have the weight of so many children in your hands. So I have graduated 4 daughters from Brighton High School, and I've worked for the Brighton area schools. I cooked for Maltby for many years, worked at all the elementary schools. I've done jail ministry. I've helped our community. I've worked with the homeless. I have been in this community for about 28 years. So I come with a little bit different venue. I look and I see you wonderful people who are actually standing and taking a minute to just say, here we are. And so I think from my position is there's such a vast difference between when we stepped up and I had my kids. I now also have 6 grandkids, so I still have stake in the game, right? I'm still going to Saturday football games and baseball and the other things. And so imagine this, I pick up my grandson from school and he said, yeah, the funniest thing happened today. And I said, what? And he goes, I don't know, I think it was Halloween. And I said, why is that, buddy? And he said, well, because there was this really big man and he had dress shoes on and wore pink and I just, did I miss a memo? I said, no, buddy, you know, what made you feel uncomfortable? He goes, well, it just seems so out of place. And so I had to sit and have a conversation. Again, in your own homes, do what you want, but I worked for the schools and I've protected the kids there. I had a game plan. If anything horrible happened, their lives matter. And so what we're saying from my side, what I wondered if you guys could we go through, since voting is right around the corner? I've also homeschooled, I've gone to Christian schools, and I worked as next to the kids in Brighton schools. So I have a vast set of resources that I pull from. So my question to you is, we sort of want to know where you guys' position are and where you stand, and do you guys have skin in the game? Are your children and grandchildren here in this community? And how do we protect that? My question is I know we have to beep going into the schools, and how do we watch, and where do you guys stand on that so we can support you guys? If that's, you know, I mean, if we're all like-minded, we want to support you in that, and just know where the positioning is and where that is, and what type of protections that we, you know, have. And I look to my kids, and I know, and my grandkids, and when they go off to school, I said, you respect your authorities and you listen to those who are above you, and you know, and we make them mind and being, you know, I mean, but there are some common things, you know, that are elementary, you know, I mean, and so that's a concern. And it's just not for me. I know there are many, many people in the land right now talking about homeschooling and pulling their children from this area. It's a conservative area. I know the area well, I've been here a long time. And I'm just saying it's an issue, and I'm for Brighton schools, right? I have a stake in that game. I want to know, and I'm hoping that we can just put water on that, and we can all end up level and just know where everybody stands, instead of having a lot of gossip and foolish talk. Really just saying, guys, where are we on that? So we can land the bench. And I'd love to, you know, have some camaraderie and say, hey, I know where these people stand, and we feel comfortable. So thank you.
Anyone else wishes to address the board?
Seeing none, we will move to 4 action. Regular minutes of September 12th, 2022. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Krebs,
Support.
support by Reed. Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it. Human Resources Report. Do we have a motion?
The human resource, I'm sorry, is that,
So moved.
Is that
I'm sorry.
So moved by Ms. Krebs. Support by Ms. Mitchell. Discussion. Mr. Scanlon.
Yeah, the Human Resource Report is presented for your review and approval. We are excited to welcome Jennifer Caverly to the Brighton High School team. She brings a wealth of experience as a teacher and a counselor in supporting high school students. It's recommended that you approve the Human Resource Report as presented.
Any more discussion?
Who, could you, was there any board members in an interview or anything with this person or anything of that nature?
No board members, no. It's the same process and procedures.
Same process, so nothing's changed since we've talked about trying to get other people involved and that kind of thing. Nothing's changed since then?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Scaling, this position, it appears is a new position
No, it is refilling a retirement or a resignation from August.
from August.
Yeah.
Okay, so we just finally found a person to.
Yeah, there was been not as many candidates as we had hoped, and the administrative team and the counselors worked hard to interview the ones that we had, and Ms. Caverly is going to be a great addition to the team.
So specifically in counseling, what grades is she going to?
She's going to be sliding in and taking care of the seniors with support from the counselors until she gets her feet wet, but that's where she'll be sliding in and taking that role.
And is this the first role as a counselor she's had?
No, this is her. She's been a counselor for 5 previous years over in the Walled Lake School District. Currently working with senior group there as she transitions with us.
And then prior to being a counselor, she was a teacher?
Yes, math teacher.
And how many years as a math teacher?
11 years.
Does she still want to teach math too? No.
I don't think so. She didn't say she did.
Well, All right, okay, thank you.
First of all,
Go ahead.
First of all, I gotta love a math teacher. But do you think this is the end of the hires? Are we staffed? Do you have any other ones coming through?
As far as for our teachers, yes, this was the only one that was outstanding with respect to our teachers or counselors. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have one more question on it. Okay, what's the starting wage for this position?
It would be based on the BEA schedule.
So
So I think-
counselors are BEA members?
Correct.
Or
Yes.
Could be.
Based on the master agreement with the BEA.
Are they required to be BEA members?
Yes.
They are not required to be in the union. That is, it's a right to work state, just that only qualification.
Thank you.
But they
Yes.
would be placed according to the schedule on the scale, which is,
Of that bargaining
Right.
unit agreement, yes.
I see.
Thank you, Dr. Outlaw, for that.
So
Appreciate
this
that.
particular individual with these years of experience obviously brings a lot to us.
Mhm.
Where will they start? How much do they earn? per year?
I don't have that specific number in front of me, but it's
oftentimes with the, they'll start with steps when they come from
Correct.
a similar position. So that I would anticipate that probably, step 4 or 5, somewhere in that range if the person was 5 years in. But I don't know exactly what it would be.
yeah, it would
but
be total
that's
total
usually
experience.
fairly
So
common.
I just don't know the exact value of the step that she will be starting on.
Well, you're asking the board to approve a hire, and we're supposed to know what the finances are before we approve anything. And what the impact is to the school district. So I think because we brought up steps, tell me what a step is and remind us all what that is in education business.
So a step is the placement or as teachers in that or anyone in the collective bargaining agreement are placed based on the years of experience and their current salary, all of those things take consideration. They're placed on a specific step, and then at that step it dictates how they move forward from year to year with respect to increases in compensation,
So is that every year they get an increase in pay because of steps?
depending on where they are, right? If you're at step 5, then you progress to the end of that. And then once you're at the top of the step, then you would get those increments that are for the people who are beyond those steps.
So technically that's an automatic raise.
Yes.
So then recently when, let's say for instance, this particular individual we're hiring, it wouldn't be included in the new raises, or they'd automatically get the new raises also because they'd all be on the same pay scale?
They're coming in at whatever the collective bargaining agreement at that time indicates. Yes.
Okay, so not merit-based, but again, just because the agreement said so.
Mhm.
So then it's fair to say that steps are a raise in your pay. And then when we gave raises recently to the tune of, I think, 4.5% or 5%, give or take for the first year, those raises were on top of the steps, in addition to the steps.
Yes.
So for instance, then in a step, what's the value of step 4? What is the value change? What kind of an increase is that in pay when you go 3, 4, 5? How does that work again?
I can take a look at what the value are between the steps. I think, Mr. Engel, do you remember, are those when we calculated those were
Just say they're roughly 5%.
5% is about, yeah.
And that's a ballpark.
5% on a step. So then how many years is the person, if they're in step 5, how many years are they in step 5, step 4?
For 1 year.
That's 1 year.
Yes.
Not unlike military steps. It kind of looks the same way.
All right. So then technically, the 4.5% or 5% raise got met with a 5% step raise. That'd be a 10% raise from a base pay. If base pay was, let's just use a number, $50,000.
They could be at $20,000 and get to step 5, and that's not much money.
I know
And
that.
actually
That's kind of what I was getting at. And then when you're at 130,000 or you're at 200,000, that could be a whole different amount to you. So this person we're hiring, do we know any idea what we're paying them a year? Any idea at all?
Ballpark, I think because of the steps and because of the compensation that we needed to fill the position, I think it's right around 84.
Okay. Now, do counselors have to work more days than the teacher contract, or are they in the same contract as teachers? Are they like administration days?
They they come in before the teachers do in the summer, yes.
And because we're at 100 and, so 170 what for,
175.
is it 175 for teaching days? Is that correct?
Yep.
So the counseling position, would that be 185 or 195, or would it be?
I think it's 2 weeks prior. Is it 1 or 2 weeks?
There's 185 teacher workdays.
Right,
184.5.
Okay,
right.
for teachers.
Those are teacher workdays.
Okay. And this would be the same as that then for the counselor?
Counselors typically have more.
More work days,
It's more.
yes.
Any other discussion?
I've got one more question, please. Did you personally interview this person?
Yes, I did.
Personally,
Yes, I did.
by yourself?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed?
Nay.
One abstention. The ayes have it. Anti-bullying policy repeal and adoption.
The
Is
through.
it one abstention or one nay?
I'm sorry, it was one name.
One nay.
And one absent.
I don't know, sorry.
And one abstention?
One absent. I'm good. I wanted.
One absent.
One absent.
My apologies. Anti-bullying policy repeal and adoption. We are treating this as two separate votes. Yeah, the first vote will be on the policy repeal, current policy repeal, and then we will adopt secondly.
I think, Ken, I think that first one, item C, is actually the repeal of the existing book of policies, except for the bullying policy, and then the adoption of the new book of policies, except for the bullying policy. And then the second item, D, is just the repeal of the old bullying policy and the adoption of the new bullying policy. So that first one is the full package of the policies that we've been reviewing at all of the committee of the whole meetings.
Okay. Probably should reread. Okay, so the repeal all current policies, bylaws, and administrative guidelines except the board's current bullying policy and adopt the policy manual except policy 5207, anti-bullying. That is what we are voting on right now.
Yes.
All those in favor, or I'm sorry, is there a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Mr. Reed, support by, who was that? Ms. Krebs? Discussion.
Could you just clarify one more time, please?
We are repealing all current policies, bylaws, and administrative.
Which, is that, and that's referring to the Neola?
Yes.
Yes.
Repealing Neola and accepting the term, except for the.
And so we're switching from Neola to Troons.
But I think we're gonna, did we say that we're gonna do this like in 5 days or something?
That's what I was just going to quickly throw out. I
November
believe.
1st.
So,
Be effective November 1st.
So effective November 1st, so
yeah,
you
if we
have
could
some
add
time
that to it, repeal effective November 1st, so they would stay in place until that time. If you don't mind adding that piece in there.
Okay.
You'll have time to update the website and everything to make sure.
Correct.
So we're going from Neolas to Troons,
Correct.
moving Troons forward.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
Effective November 1st.
Okay, right. Okay, fine.
Okay.
Yep.
Any further discussion?
Do we need to formally propose that amendment to the motion and vote on the amendment to the motion before we vote on the whole motion? Just to make sure we get this right. It's the whole policy package.
The big one.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's probably better for us to be very formal on this, and I think I'd agree on that, so.
Okay. So I will propose that we amend the motion to repeal the current policies, bylaws, and administrative guidelines and accept the board's current bullying policy 551701, effective November 1st of this year. Is there support for that amendment? Okay.
Second by Ms. Krebs.
Okay.
Discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Passes unanimously. One
Now
One
do
absent.
now do we vote for the policy? That was the voting for the
amendment.
amendment.
Yep.
So now we would be repealing all current policies.
And now we're actually going to do the repeal and adoption, yes,
Correct.
effective November 1st.
Okay, so on part B, repealing current policies and bylaws, do we have any discussion? Excuse me, do we have a motion?
The motion was already made and
Yeah.
supported.
So we're using the same motion.
Yep, we just have to vote again.
All right.
Mr. Stock,
Do we
would it be
have
possible to do a
all
roll
those in-
call for
Say-
sacrament purposes?
Sure.
Sure.
A roll call?
Yep.
Be very formal. Thank you. Thank you.
Do we have any more discussion, or is this, we should have discussion?
Absolutely, we should have
Yep.
discussion.
All right, we're open for discussion. Yeah.
For me, I know the board worked really hard on it. Thank you. Because it was brought up that we would change this and try a new company for our policies, and it took a lot of work. Again, I had originally hoped we'd use a different company, but obviously this company has a good reputation within the state. I have agreed with some of their decisions in the past, but I'm not the attorney, they are. So in that, just wanted to thank everybody for doing that. And that I'm going to support it, even though originally when we were voting on which one to go with, I didn't support it. But I'll support it tonight because everybody here, again, has put a lot of time into it. I put a little into it comparatively, but not anywhere near what our group of 3 or 4, right, that was here several nights to review this. So thanks for that dedication and concerns about the community.
Any further discussion? We'll call a vote. Mrs. Ackerman?
Mr. Conley,
Yes.
Ms. Reed,
Yes?
Mrs. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Trombley,
Yes.
Dr. Krebs,
Yes.
Mr. Stahl.
Yes. 6 yeses, 1 absent. Passes. All right, Scranton STEAM and Health.
Wait.
Go ahead.
We have one more,
We have to do the anti-bullying policy now.
and I'll need a roll call on that one as well.
Yes. All right, so I would like
Do you have a
to,
motion?
I'll make the motion.
Yes.
And I'm going to amend the motion to adopt the anti-bullying policy that we did the public hearing on tonight, repealing our old one effective November 1st.
Support.
Motion by Ms. Reed, support by Ms. Krebs. Do we have any discussion?
And just to clarify, this is going from Neola to Trooms,
Yes.
Correct.
November 1st.
effective November 1st.
And we're going to have an annual report included in this program,
Yep.
which is, we have never had. So that's a way to make improvements, as well as hearing from the parents and teachers that were present tonight that have concerns, that we adopt and grow that to the best of our abilities. It's hard in those classrooms, and you can already see it, and because they want all the children to get the opportunity. So I think the point of administration taking an active role, and I know they do already, it's not, I think that's not happening, but again, there's only so many hours in the day, and they're spread pretty thin with the amount of students. So we'd be in support of that for, again, protecting the rights of all the kids.
Further discussion? Roll call vote?
Dr. Krebs,
Yes.
Mrs. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Trombley,
Yes.
Ms. Reed,
Yes?
Mr. Conley,
Yes.
Mr. Stahl.
Yes. 6 yeses, 1 absent, will pass it. Now, moving on, Scranton STEAM and Health Ox Furniture, my apologies. Do we have a motion?
That,
Motion by Mr. Trump, support by Ms. Reed. Any discussion? Do we have a report from anyone? Who wants to
This-
talk about that?
These are the items we discussed 2 weeks ago at the bond/board meeting. Everybody was in favor at that time. I was just asking for formal approval tonight.
I have one comment. I was in the school today looking at progress for the classroom, and it's moving. It's looking good. And I believe will be quite a addition to our education system at a very high level. Looking forward to seeing the successes. And I can also share with you that there's some discussions already of some competitions, kind of like we do DECA and we do other things. There'll be an opportunity for students to partake at high level type of things that they'll get out and about. And I'm hearing that. Again, that'll have to be developed and we'll wait and see, but it sounds very positive that they're looking into that. So that's good news on the health occupations front.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Anyone else?
Quick question for Mr. Ingleter. Do we have any idea when the equipment that we're approving tonight will be delivered?
The furniture? There was, it depended on what line of furniture it was, but there was roughly between, I think it was a 4 and 12 week window on some of this stuff. 2 and 10 week is what we were looking at. So it's right in that game. We should be done right about that time. So
Okay.
I don't think there'll be too big of a gap, if any.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? 6 yeses, 1 absent, passes. Now for future action, school of choice second semester.
Okay, I'll just be quick on this. This is the annual resolution. This would be up for a vote at the November meeting, but second semester opening up a very limited number of seats as usual. There will be a few opportunities for choice, but as you know, our buildings are getting full. Our elementaries are very full, and we ran limited choice this year, but we will have some limited spaces. Does anybody have any questions?
Do you have numbers yet for how many seats we're going to offer and which grades? Are you going to bring those to the next meeting?
That's what I was hoping to have the next meeting. Yes.
Yeah, I think the next meeting, this resolution is, it says, 1 seat in each grade, but there'll be a little bit more than that. I can tell you that the older students, there's a little bit more space the older you get. At the lower levels, we're very full. We had a lot of interest in the Brighton area schools this year, so which is great.
Typically, at this time of the year, is this something that, are these kids that are moving in later, or are these coming from other districts?
No, people that move in, go ahead,
I
Star.
was going to say some, but not, it's mostly our students who have been here and may have moved out. So we'd like to capture them. Yes,
I got you.
yes.
Yeah, anybody that moves into the community is not school of choice. So, yeah.
Are we keeping a accurate list of how many students that we can't accept? Because I heard that there were some we couldn't do because the grades were full.
That was probably the limited. That was probably the limited window, and that was
That
in the
timing.
elementary.
So that's a
And
timing.
it was timing. Yep, we
Yeah.
kept it open. When you do limited, it's, it's like a 30-day window, 15 days to 30-day window. So
All right, so in this situation, with our current school of choice, is there days that we have to turn people away? Like when people come in for admissions, they come to see you, we have to say no?
The folks that we would say no to, a couple different pockets. One of the rights that you have as a school of choice district is to deny students that have behavior issues. And we take a strong stance on that. We want, so that's an important one. We take that one very seriously. So there's folks that are not accepted for those reasons, one. And then we do not have flexibility if it's outside of the school of choice window. So let's say, for example, somebody wished to come today. It would be illegal for us to accept them today because it's outside of the window set by the state. So those are the two pockets. You have your disciplinary pocket, and then you have your pocket of people that are applying outside of the time that's permitted by the state.
If I could elaborate on your question, I think I know where you're going was, are there any we have to turn away just because there's no space?
So
I mean, not really, because in the elementary level, we may not be able to give them the school their first choice, but, we do the
Find a
best.
building.
There you go. Yes.
Uh,
Give them options. Yes.
So, okay, so let's just use a basic scenario. So somebody moves from Colorado to Brighton and they want to start school here tomorrow.
Anybody who's a resident student can join any day once the paperwork is filled out.
Choice.
This is only school of choice. These are people who do not live in the Brighton area or in the Brighton community.
Good, thank you.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Moving on to Title III, Part A, immigrant students.
I'll take it. So this is something we do every year. We do ask that the board relinquish the Title III funds every year, and that's because they're for English language learners. We have a very small population of that. So the funds that come into us are not actually worth accepting. The cost benefit of doing so, there's more overhead and red tape and strings than there is benefit of accepting this money. In addition, we'd be required to join a consortium with the rest of the county, which actually ties our hands more than it does allow us to help these students. So we're actually able to do a better job locally without accepting these funds. So we do ask that the board relinquish these funds every year. So that's what we're back here doing again.
So this is no change from previous years?
No, this is the same thing we've done for several years now.
Any discussion? Summer tax resolution.
This is another annual resolution. We do ask that the board approve this resolution. We have to pass it and distribute it to the local municipalities by December 31st of this year in order to actually collect summer taxes next year. So again, this is the same resolution you've had for several years. We've been doing this summer resolution since 2007. And that basically allows us to pull that collection forward from the winter up to the summer, gives us much better cash flow. And so we do all of the operating taxes. We do still levy all of the debt taxes in the winter. That's how Brighton has done it for a long time now, so.
2019 bond loose equipment and health occupations. I think that's you again.
That's me again. The 2 weeks ago at that bond meeting, and when we talked about the furniture and equipment to go into the health ox, I did bring up the fact that I had to bid out 2 items related to health ox. Those were the head walls that go, the oxygen and all those type things go through. That's at the head of the bed. We have 7 of those that we'll be purchasing, as well as 2 nursing simulation full body dolls. So both of those items were bid out. The bid tabs are included in your packet. We are asking you to approve those in 2 weeks. We only received 1 bid, which is what we expected, considering the spec that we put out. But we're happy with what's there. The specs meet everything. I know they're anxious for us to approve this as soon as possible. So
What's the not to exceed amount?
the not to exceed amount, Bill, I had it on there, but 68,347.17.
And what was budgeted?
Oh, this was all out of the contingency, but we're
Right, but
within,
again, the equipment doesn't.
we're within that approximate amount that we gave when we
Yeah,
approved
okay, that's-
everything.
so we're within line.
Yeah,
And just to clarify, head walls are the oxygen
The fake
plug-in
units.
and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
yep.
Can I have a question?
Yes, sir.
So does, Michael, does that leave us pretty much completed on equipment?
I believe it does, yeah.
So we'll be ready.
Because we had, right, so there was a little bit of equipment that went with the Scranton Steam, but most of that's been completed. Most of it was 3D printers, and most of that was furniture related to fill the space. So we had originally talked, when we approved that, it was about $250,000 for the furniture side of things and $250,000 on the expense side, or the equipment side of things. And this pretty much, I think, as far as I'm aware, wraps up those big purchases at this time.
Thank you.
I got to think as well as I do, once it gets set up, once the teacher's in there, there's going to be items that are going to be missed and that we're
Yeah.
going to need to be.
Which is why I said, as far as I know at this time.
Yes, there you go, right?
Because there will always be things, right? And it doesn't matter how well you pre-plan it, we're finding people unhappy with the furniture and some of the new steam renovations. So we're still working on that kind of stuff as well. So there's, best laid plans. So.
If I could.
Ms. Reed?
I'm really excited about all of the new equipment and the opportunities that that's going to provide our students in the Health Ox program. I'm curious what planning has been done or is on the schedule as far as addressing the curriculum to make sure that we're making use of all the new tools available to our teachers and students.
Yeah, I don't know on that one.
I would say currently we were probably lacking in some of those supplies to help support the curriculum that's already in place. So if anything, it's elevating those options and looking at more realistic opportunities for our students to have. So actually, I think it's the materials we're using or getting will be a better use for the curriculum to actually be utilized a little better. So students will have a better opportunity.
Great, thank you.
But correct me if I'm wrong, in purchasing this equipment, in doing what we're doing, there's training that's coming in, there's help for the instructor and other people that are going to be trained to help implement and operate this stuff to help. I'm only making this assumption to help the teacher push this program forward.
Yeah, there was full training on that animatage table that we approved earlier, so that will come along and when the table arrives. And then there's also, I believe there's training that goes along with these nursing simulator dolls, because they come with a whole, again, programmed into them, ailments and things like that, so.
Tyler?
I think this is a really good discussion point. Alicia started because, and then Bill ramped it up because I would like to see specifically in this class how we're going to do that. Because this is very important. It's a significant not only investment, but we're also looking at the benefit potential for the students and what we need to do from the board side to support that. I think everybody here said, let's do this. So I think we could ask for that within reason, some kind of program on how that's going to roll out and who's going to train who and the amount of training that's going to take place for the teachers. And if we have to pay for additional training or whatever we have to do to make sure each element of that is at the highest possible level. Because it wouldn't be fair to take an excellent teacher and just drop he or she in there and say, hey, good luck.
Well, and I'd like to know how we're progressing on that larger vision to make sure that our students are well able to get whatever certifications we can prepare them to receive so that they can go right into the workforce in the position that they want when they're leaving the high school.
And Alicia, let me tell you, when I originally started this and went to U of M, and the nursing instructor who also PhD there, who runs that teaching program, her daughter went through our Health Ox program a couple of years ago. And that was the doctor that I spoke to start with in the first place. And she lives here in Brighton, more than happy to continue to push this. And that's why she is very involved in this and very glad we came there. And that's why we are allowed to come in and tour and model this lab after U of M's nursing teaching lab, right? With the expectations when our kids come out of this, they're going to be how many steps ahead of the other kids coming out of high school in their Health Ox program because they've had this experience, they've learned, they're going to be prepared, hopefully, to go into U of M's nursing school and to avoid a lot of the other stuff the kids have to do when they go there. And I believe, as she at least discussed with me, she's more than willing to come in here and help move this thing, answer questions, help set up curriculum, whatever we need. Her and her team there are more than happy to help this move forward. So please utilize that resource.
Another note on that, on the list of how we would train, we can also, and Alicia brought it up about their certificate training, because we all talked about this and we pushed it. I pushed it a little, but the CNA training and what the students can leave the class with. And that applies to a lot of our classes, by the way, that we're doing this at this level. And, but this one specifically, because it's a scratch start at this level, we could do it and draw kind of the map and the roadmap, how we want to get from here to here. And I would suggest that we look at, like it was brought to my attention that they're looking at these competitions that's great. Gives people outside opportunity to get out there and figure out where we're at, and then you get back and go at it again if you're not where you want to be. And if you take all the, take the win, that's great. But maybe there'd be a list of those opportunities that could be brought forward to, the planning stages of what kind of certificates are available at the high school level. What we would try to, like the CNA training, like I said, I believe 100% we should offer the CNA training here at Brighton schools for the entire county. And community ed could even hold it in the summer classes and do CNA training using the lab. Or if we can't do it in the regular academic year, they could do it that way. There's lots of opportunities to do it. If we fill it on regular curriculum and can't do the training, well, we could offer it where students could take it. So I think that's this great discussion about seeing a great opportunity. We have a wonderful teacher that's the Brighton High grad that's back with us, that went to nursing college and has just a great person to have run this operation for us. It'd be great to see what she can do with it.
Any discussion? Moving on to the senior center and Mdot ADA plan. Is that you, Mr. Scally, or do we?
So I'm going to invite Jody Valenti from the Senior Center forward, if you don't mind going to the podium. And then she'll walk you through it really quickly, and then you can ask her any questions you have.
So basically, we just need a signature on that. It's the plan we've had prior to my being the director. The only changes we made was we had to change Nancy's information to my information for them to be able to have a place to contact if they had complaints about their, like being denied transportation because of a disability.
Is there any questions?
Jody, let me ask you this. I'm assuming things are going good at the senior center.
Mhm.
Do you have any other issues or concerns at the senior center that you'd like to talk to the board about, or anything that needs to be done there to continue to move it forward for the seniors? I mean, are everything great and good, or are there things you need, or what's the situation, please?
Everything's progressing. I mean, we're recovering after the shutdown because we were closed for a year. So we're kind of recovering after that, trying to get the seniors back out and involved. Just trying to build up programming, things like that. So, I mean, on the senior center side of things, things are good.
If I could just jump in really quickly, because she's not tooting her own horn here, and I'm going to do it for her. Where this was at a year ago versus where it is today, this program has moved forward very quickly, and Jody's doing a great job. I've asked Jody to come to the board and do a presentation and show pictures and everything. She's going to do that in the next few months here. We've talked about it, but if you want to come over and visit, just take a walk through there. It's a lively place, a lot of good energy there, but she's I love the little attention to detail. I think makes a big difference, and it's very cozy. Just done a lot of really nice things, and she's full of ideas. So anyway, I don't mean to step on your toes, but you're being very humble, and I think she's doing a great job and really moving that program
Again, is there anything we as a board can do for you at this time that you would need that?
No, I think that's going to be an action item, like membership fees and things like that will become an action item. But I think making some of the changes we've made in terms of fixing the place up, myself and Diane Castillo, when we were shut down, we used that time to really just try to fix the place up and make it so people would want to be members there. And that seems to be the feedback we're getting from people that have either been members prior or that are new members and didn't know about it. We've been trying to advertise more to get the word out. So they like what they see when they come in compared to all the senior centers in Livingston County.
So the facility is up to date and you're happy with its looks, and
there's little things here and there, but nothing major. You've been a help in getting me as projects have been done around the district and things have been torn out, like at Scranton, the library, Mr. Trombley actually directed me over there and I was able to get some of the bookshelves to replace some of our bookshelves that were falling apart. And then this past summer, he was able to get me cabinets from Pooh's Corner when they were tearing that out, so I could repurpose those and use those around the center. So yeah, any projects that we're doing and updating, I definitely keep me in mind because we can always use those items before they go in the trash. We could
Right.
definitely use them at the center to improve the space. You guys probably all know we don't have a ton of money flowing in. That's another item I have to try to work on, but we've been for many years a revolving door of directors and things have gotten missed with funding, and that's one of my areas that I have to try to go after is to try to recoup some more funding for the center. So
Well, and again, I know with this bond, we spent money in the parking lot, which was obviously needed
yes,
as well throughout the district, but I don't think there's been a lot of other bond money put towards the senior center. So I'm asking you this question because we're getting towards the end of the bond. Again, I couldn't give you the amount that's in the contingency by any means, but please come forward if there's things you think you need that, because after this is gone, I don't believe there'll be money like that to be able to do things like that. So please speak up now.
I mean, one of the areas that I
But,
think,
and again, I don't mean tonight. I don't mean
I
to
mean,
put you on the
there
spot
is one
tonight.
area like I'm trying to create a health and wellness area
Okay.
where we can do our exercise in-house. And we had an incident where one of our members, there's like carpet and tile floor, and he was doing chair yoga. His chair slipped and he did a face plant.
So you don't have an even flooring, like we just
No, it
spent
could-
millions
it
of
could
dollars
be-
in the high school for nice flooring.
It would be nice to have it all carpet and not the tile carpet transition in that room.
Okay.
I don't know if that's an easy fix or not, but I mean, that's something to consider because with seniors, you have to be a lot more
Sure.
concerned about, even though we have the the rubber, strips that create the division. To them, they don't always pick their feet up and they may shuffle and trip over something like that. But I also use the space for enrichment classes in the evening. So I do a lot of dance classes and karate and stuff like that in that space. And it would be nice to also for the kids to have, just a solid floor that's one surface and not multiple surfaces. So
Okay. Thank you.
How many members do you have?
we are just over 300 right now. I believe that number should be a lot higher because we are open to 50 and over. It's just trying to figure out how to market to the 50 and over crowd to want to be a member of the senior center.
Just Twitter or something.
It's making them understand that they need to be a member of our center.
How many do you see in a day?
It just depends. Like today with Euchre, we probably had 50, 60 people. I was joking and I said last Tuesday, we had a senior celebration with 60 people for lunch. We had 30 come in for chair yoga. We literally had a line out the door and down the sidewalk. And I wish I would have taken a picture because it would have been a great marketing, like, hey, it's the place to be. So,
That's awesome. Thank you.
yes.
But that was, I can kind of get the answer there, but I would suggest to you that, as we save things from the scrap pile, that's important, but also to have a vision and a dream sheet that you don't have to do that. And we have a general fund budget, and the seniors and our citizens of the community are a big part of Brighton area schools. A lot of those seniors, heck, they might have went to Brighton schools, right? They live here, they pay taxes here, and they are important to us. And they're important to me, and I believe everybody on the board, their parents and their grandparents. These are parents and grandparents for people. So just don't be, everybody's always been gun shy around here with that, afraid to bring forward the budget because they might get turned down. That's possible, you might. But you have a dream sheet to do this. And if you see something that you believe, and that's why you're over there, because you've done a good job. How long have you been with us now?
I think 2017 or 2018. So I did obviously enrichment, and then now I do both. So,
And so you saw the worst of times with the shutdown and went to zero. Zero
yes.
people. So all the people in the community that couldn't come, where'd they all go, right?
Well, we did a lot of, we tried to do on-demand services. We couldn't do the social, but we still tried to do on-demand. So I still had Dave driving one-on-one to get people to appointments if they needed to go or get them to the grocery store. And then, we still performed tax services. I still had Medicare enrollment. Like we did all that stuff. I would have them come meet in my office one-on-one with whoever so they could still get some of those services. Just not the socialization of coming in as a group.
Which is a big deal.
Right,
And so, but they were able to at least come and see you
right,
versus maybe they had nobody to come and see.
right.
So that's a very vital community function that
Right.
we don't forget how important those people are. So thank you for doing what you do there.
Thank you.
Any other
Report.
questions?
I learned a lot.
I actually-
What's going on over there? The street?
Sorry, to take us back to the ADA policy, have we
Yes.
had many complaints this year?
We have not had any complaints since I've overseen the senior center in 2020.
Great, thank you.
So Dave's usually really good about accommodating everybody.
Good to know. Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes?
Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much. Moving on to technology purchases.
I think that's me again. So under the bond program, we do have, we had a prescribed rotation of things that were going to be replaced. Currently looking to replace 175 laptops for teachers. And that's, again, part of our rotation. We're trying to get it so that everything doesn't come into obsolescence at the same time. And that's some of the problems whenever you're buying technology with a bond. So we've been pacing this out. This is where we're at for this year's replacing some at the high school and Scranton. And then we're also looking to replace 1,500 Chromebooks that have basically licensed out. We're not able to use them for testing anymore. That's some of the reason that Chromebooks come so cheaply, is that they also put basically time bombs on them that they reach a certain point and then they're not able to be used for testing any longer. So we are looking to replace those as well at this time.
Is there anything else that we can use those Chromebooks for once we can't use them for testing? Or are they really just paperweights at that point?
They get to be that point. You can still surf the web with them, things like that. But they're really, as an instructional piece, they're less functional at that point. But we do offer them up to other districts. And
How many year window is that with that machine?
5 to 7 on
What a
what they
nice
do. with
program
them.
it is, right? It's self-destruct.
That's kind of how I look at
That's,
it.
yeah, mission, yeah.
Mission impossible.
Mission, yeah.
Mhm.
What does it cost? When you look?
They're pretty cheap, honestly. I can't remember. They're like $200-300 or something like that.
They're very inexpensive. And the Brighton High School field trip to Quebec, Canada.
So in our next board meeting, we're going to look to ask you to approve a trip request to Quebec, Canada. There are 3 quotes in the packet, so you can see that. This is being proposed by one of our French teachers, Jean-Marie Moffa. It's a 5-day trip, and then the prices and the time of the trip will be over the summer, so students will not be missing school. That would be ideal, so. You have questions on that?
So if it's over the summer, what grade? I mean, so students who have graduated will not be eligible?
It would probably not. Yeah, so it's French. It's a great question. I'll double check, but I'm going to assume no, because they would be kind of beyond classified. I think probably for ability and stuff. I think they'd be beyond us. I'll double check that.
Okay.
But it's French 2 students or have already taken through 9th grade.
Okay,
So
thank you.
that would be ideal. But I will follow up on that.
Further questions? for
Yeah,
Karen?
so traveling into Canada, right?
Yes.
So what's the requirement for vaccination?
Canada actually just removed everything on October the 1st.
So can we get that for the record when we do the approval, please?
Yeah.
That there's no coercion or no push to get vaccinated to go on this field trip.
So, I mean, you bring up a good point, and I will get that, but I've told a lot of them when they're looking at their trips to not, like to look into things like this around this. So
Yeah.
this was specific to make sure, and I will tell you, Jean Marie has been like waiting to find a trip that could actually do it. So we will get that confirmation
Just
for
so
you,
when-
but that is
Before the
something.
students come to
Yep.
sign up, they know that
Yep.
it's their option.
Yeah.
And their parents' option.
Yes,
It's not required.
Yep.
Because out of country, it could be required.
absolutely agree.
Okay. Well, it's out of country, but further out of country. Thank you.
Any questions? For Lou? Now our last item, we'll call it H, board reports. Alan.
Yeah. One of the parents spoke a little about the issue. Downtown Brighton has a ballot program that's set for the 8th, and it talks about marijuana and the actual petition that was approved. She said 800 feet. My understanding is it's 0 feet for isolation from establishments that can sell legalized marijuana. That means daycares, churches, schools, anything. They can put them right next to you. And the other thing that's up for discussion, which seems to be very vague, is that the number of these operations. It's unlimited at this time. Not 2, it's unlimited. And with a high degree of certainty from people in the community, a lot of businesses or property owners have been approached. Some I heard are double. They've made offers of double the value of the properties. And a lot of them are under contract already. So it's numerous. Could be a dozen, could be 8, could be 20, I don't know, but it's a lot in a small area. And I think it's important that we all know that. And that's what I know about it. And there's a community effort to get information out there that is accurate. There's an effort from the people that would like this approved to give inaccurate information. In fact, there was a mailer sent out to all city residents that talks about what they can do with the marijuana dollars, which includes lower their taxes, pay for help schools. There was stuff on that list. I read it. It was just amazing. And I've seen nothing to the fact that any of it will apply to schools. Have you, Dr. Outlaw? With the marijuana dollars, is there anything that's ever been directed towards us?
I'm not aware of anything in that category.
So there's a lot of things being said that this would be a great benefit to the community by the people that bring it here. And again, it's the state law that things like this can be up and running. And also my understanding is it's one operation that has secured all of the businesses and the buildings. And it's the largest in the state of Michigan as well. So depending on what you want your town to look like in a few years, that'll be the decisions that we all make as citizens of the town. And as a resident of the town, from what I've seen in other towns, I really don't want to see it on Main Street, Grand River, and in the thoroughfare, which our students will travel. And my point of bringing it up is because I'm looking out for the students of this community and the children that need parents and need adults to look out for them. And that's what we're doing here in a role that we all have taken on. I cannot see any benefit to our school-age children to have these operations running within our city limits. And when the buses drive by them, to think that this is normal. So I'll leave it at that. Is there any questions I could answer for anybody that might have an answer to?
No, other than, I'd like to say, I still continue to live by the resolution that the 7 of us agreed upon. And I continue to support that resolution unless there's something that would be changed or something that would force us to change that. And again, I don't think there's any of us up here that don't believe in that at this time and want to continue to have this resolution move forward and people to understand that this is how we're going about supporting this of not having these shops in our town. Thank you.
I think it's important to say that it's already dealt with this with the resolution. Our resolution stands. It also is, it's a very local election. If you don't live in the city of Brighton, you don't have a vote in this matter. So that's important to know because that eliminates a lot of us. So really all we've got are our voices. So
That's true, Mr. Stahl, because that's true. And I own property in the city of Brighton, but I can't vote. You know, but that's, and that's a tough situation. And it's going to be a lot of people that really don't own property that are voting. And again, everybody has a right to vote. I don't say they don't. And again, it's a real tough deal. So, but it's the facts and this is what's on the ticket. It's very serious. Thank you.
any other discussion? Not seeing any, I believe we will adjourn this meeting. Our next special meeting on Monday, October 24th at 7 p.m. Our next regular meeting is November 14th at 7 p.m. The meeting is adjourned.